Well, hi. Today I've got quite an interesting watch. So just lately, unfortunately, had a bereavement in the family, and as a result, I've inherited a couple of watches. One I showed you before was the Omega Constellation. This one is a little bit later. It's a 1970s Seiko, automatic Seiko, and this is the Seiko 61397080, known as the Hexagon. It dates from about 1972, and when I first got this, it was in a bit of a kind of dirty state, as you'd imagine. It's been sat in a drawer for I don't know how many years, I think at least 5 years, not working. But I'm happy to say it's working absolutely perfect, and it's cleaned up really nicely. Just using my usual trick of a bowl of warm water with some washing up liquid and a toothbrush, and you can really get into all the nooks and crannies and give it a good old polish up without using anything abrasive at all. And it's amazing how the stainless steel comes up. It's not one you want to polish too hard, because you can lose the edges on the case of the hexagonal dimensions. If you polish too hard, you're going to lose the sharpness of those. So just microfiber cloth, really, a little bit of hand polishing does the job. It's a good, modern size, really chunky watch. Even though it's 1970s, it's a really good size. It's got a good chunky feeling to it, a nice weight to it. It's got an interesting chronograph detail to it. So I've got some details of this watch. I'm just having a look here. Yeah, so basically it's got a central seconds hand, which is that orange, which doesn't seem to run. At first, I didn't think this watch was working properly. It took me a while to work out, and I kind of actually looked it up, exactly how this chronograph works. So what you've got is you've got the hour and minute hand, which, let me just show you, pull that out, because I think they're overlapping each other at the moment. So it looks like, there you go. Right, so you've got your normal hour and minute hand there, and then you've got the central orange hand, which works as a stopwatch. So what you do with the functions on this one, you press this button which starts it, and that will tick around, and then the bottom dial records the minutes, up to 30 minutes for a longer timing of something. So a short one, you could just stop it, and then it records the minutes as well. So to stop it, you press the button again, and that stops it. If 1 minute had gone by, the small dial at the bottom would move to show how many minutes have elapsed, and that's your seconds. To reset it, you press the bottom one, and it should all jump to the top. So that resets the second timer and the minute timer. So obviously when it's like this, it's not recording the seconds in normal use. So I think, it's the way I've been kind of using it a little bit, is just to have that running. So now you've just got a second hand, but I don't know what happens once it gets past 30 minutes. It probably just keeps on going. I'd have to record that. I'm not quite sure, because I haven't worn this for any length of time, apart from to show that it does actually keep good time. Yeah, so I quite like it with the orange hand just running as a second hand, as you would find on most average watch. It's got a beautiful inserted bezel. You haven't got an exterior bezel. The water resistance is 30 meters on this, which isn't particularly high, so it's going to be probably good enough for a shower. Maybe you could take it in a pool, but you certainly won't want to go too deep. To change the date, it's quite interesting. So you press the crown in, and that changes the date, the day, as you see, like that. And then to adjust the actual day itself, I think you pull that out. No, you've got to get it just right, I'm sure. So you pull it out to first notch, perhaps. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I might have to look up how you actually change the date. So you press it anyway. You press it, that turns that. Yeah, there'll be some way. I'll have to look that up. I should have checked that before I made the video. I thought it was going to be... I think it's just pull the crown out, find a sweet spot usually, and then you turn it one way or the other and it'll turn. I'll have another look at that. I'm sure it's all working. The watch seems to be working absolutely perfectly. Because I do know these can have issues once they get older, with the minutes not lining up and this type of thing. But as you can see, that's going round and it's recording the minutes. So I'll show you what the movement looks like. I've already loosened the back plate, so just to give you a look at this screw down back plate. Really nice quality engineering. So hopefully I can loosen this with my fingers now and get a look at what is a really lovely looking automatic movement. I think it's 17 joules, I believe. And we've got, okay, yeah, there's some markings on the insides of the case. T54.11F, don't know what that means. Obviously means something, not an expert, no idea. Here's the movement itself. I'm using a little lamp here today because the day is very dark, although it's coming up to midday. So I've got my little LED ring lamp on. So that's the movement. We just rotate it so you can see the other with the balance wheel ticking away. Just see if I can focus this a bit better. Yeah, beautiful, interesting movement. And as I said, this has been stuck in a drawer for, it must be 5 years, absolute minimum. And it's still working great. So I don't think it was serviced that long ago. Excuse me. I mean, a testament to Seiko, really. A watch from the 1970s. It's been worn a lot and then sat in a drawer for many years. Give it a quick shake and it's working. Now, it's obviously an automatic, so it works on wrist movement. But from what I read, this winder also winds it as well. So this one is, so it's known as a Hexagon. It's pretty rare. You do find them. They seem to be a few in America, not so many in the UK when I was looking at eBay. And I think they're, you know, kind of £200 to £300 if you're lucky on eBay, I guess. So, you know, not a bad price for it. And this one does seem to be working spot on, so it should get quite a good, you know, higher value. And it's in very good condition, just some basic kind of wear, very micro scratches, that type of thing. But I would say for the year, for the age of that watch, the crystal is very good. Very, you know, just some very minor little kind of scratches and things. It's come up beautifully. So I'll show you what this looks like on my 6.5 inch wrist. I've already got it, well actually it fits me, so it shows I didn't have to adjust this at all, which is nice. Beautiful blues. I really like this. This is definitely a watch I would wear. I mean, I'm going to obviously put this in my collection. It's got sentimental value, so I'm unlikely to sell it. It does worry me, all these watches that are working, which are old, when they're working, you do think, is this the time to sell it? Because the minute it stops working, of course, getting that service can cost maybe two, three, almost the price of the watch to get the thing serviced. I mean, there are some people who do a cheaper service. It depends if it needs any parts replaced or anything like that. At the moment, it seems to be working perfectly. So, I was considering, do I sell it? I've cleaned it up a bit. It looks great. Do I keep it and kind of gamble that it's going to carry on working? But it is working if I just give it a bit of a wind every couple of weeks, just to kind of get the mechanism running, which is a good idea with watches. You really shouldn't just leave them not working. If you've got mechanical watches, whether they're wind up or automatic, really at least once a fortnight, give them a good wind, get them working. It's a bit like a car. If you don't drive a car, that's when things start to go wrong. The mechanisms start to gum up, bits and bobs start to seize up. But if you do run it, then the oil kind of moves around a little bit. The mechanism's moving around. It stops it from seizing up if there's any kind of slight rust or whatever that might be starting. It can kind of move it around, get rid of it just by running. I mean, there's no rust on this at all, but obviously age can make things slightly oxidized and stuff like that. So by running the watch, it's probably the best thing you can do. And also by running it once every couple of weeks, you're not putting many miles on it. So you're putting off that service interval a bit, if that makes sense, because you're running it, but you're not putting the hours on the watch. Because there's obviously a time where enough hours on the watch is going to need a service and time on the watch. But they can go a remarkable long time without needing services. And you know when it needs a service because, well, A, it's either going to stop, but usually what will happen is they start to run fast or slow, that type of thing. And that's generally a clue that it needs a service, that the oil's starting to dry up and this, that and the other. Or there's a bit of debris in there that's building up. Yeah, so there you go. I mean, I hope you enjoyed looking at this Seiko. I did see there was one other video on YouTube about this. Very knowledgeable chap. He did a video on this. So I did have a sneak look at that video before I did this. And I think that mine's pretty much the only other video on YouTube of this exact watch. So if you're looking to buy one of these, here is a good example. That's what you're looking at, this type of condition. And I say you're probably going to be spending $250, $300 for something in this kind of condition. There was a couple in America, a bit more expensive, but unless you live in America, you've got to pay to have it shipped and all that type of thing. And they're always a bit more expensive in America. I noticed when you're looking at eBay, they're usually they seem to make a bit more money over there. In Europe, they're a little bit less. Probably in Australia, a little bit more, depending on the availability. But Seikos are extremely collectible, especially kind of rarer ones like this, and in good condition and usable. It still looks good today. And I think that's really important because some of the watches I've got I probably wouldn't wear too often, but that one, that's a handsome looking watch, very strong style to it. Right, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. I'm really trying to grow the channel. I want to get to 1,000 subscribers. Got some more watches to do videos on coming up. So, yeah, hit that subscribe and you won't miss the videos. Take care.